Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon.
Great, amazing morning to you. All see it's all about this curl, this little curl right here. You just got to get it out the way. Amazing morning to you. I know you could be anywhere, but we are here together. It is Thursday. I'm doing my curtsy, and you are officially tuned into Coffee and Conversation with Collette, and I am Collette. It's a pleasure to be with you today. You know what? Right before the break, Sean and I were talking, and you all, I have to dedicate this show to the memory and legacy of Craig Mack. A lot of you younger folk don't really remember him. He was like intro hip hop when hip hop was just really creating a different face for itself, and he did Flavor in the Ear. Flavor in your ear. Brand new flavor in your ear. Y'all remember he would do his hands like this. Flavor in your ear. Ha. So, you know, it's just memories, right? We always talk about creating those moments and being thankful in those moments. And so the report was saying that he was in North Carolina and he died of natural causes at the age of 47. So our prayers go out to his family, those of us who have had an impact, been impacted because of his life and his music. And the legacy will continue to live on. So peace and blessings to you, Craig Mack, and giving us that flavor in our ears. And so that is my motivation on today. And callers, I see you. Without me even giving us the numbers on today, let me give them to you. 313-868-0342 or 313-868-0351 or 313-868-4336. And yes, I'm going to give some flavor in your ears. You're going to give it back to me because that's what we do in the conversations that we have. And I promise you that they will be what? Educational, enlightening, and empowering. That is our goal. Those are our 3 E's. Before we get into the topic of today, which we're going to continue on the thrust of education, a lot has been happening in education. We had the National Student Walkout Day. I really want to know what you think about that. I have some different opinions. We're going to talk about some chaos at the Detroit School Board meeting. I want us to talk about Betsy DeVos. Yes, our education secretary, debacle on 60 Minutes. And then we're going to talk about the prison pipeline because I believe that there's a direct correlation to the miseducation of the Negro. So our title on today is 2018, Still the Miseducation of the Negro. And you know, that book was penned by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, educator. And so that's going to be the thrust of what we engage on our hour together today. But prior to that, I want to just let everybody know that women, if you are out here and you either lost contact with your father through death, divorce, prison, or perhaps you never knew your father, there's a support group to discuss challenges and assist in developing coping mechanisms to deal with this cycle. So women of all ages, you're encouraged to attend and bring your daughters, granddaughters, and nieces, goddaughters, and the like. It is free. For additional information, you can call 313-491-0003. It is called Daughters Without Dads. It's going to be at the Dabo Sheffield Center on Sunday, March the 18th from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Okay, and everyone, I'm going to post this on my social media page, but the address for the Dabo Sheffield Center is 12048 Grand River. That's Detroit, Michigan 48204. And it's a support group for Daughters Without Dads. And that was especially important to me because you all know how much I talk about my parents, and specifically how much I talk about my dad and the importance of how dads shape daughters one way or another. So if your dad is in your life, he has an impact on you. If he is not in your life, it has an impact on you. And so for me to know throughout everything that I've gone through in growing and learning and creating the relationship that I have with my dad today, that for women who don't have that, I want you to get that support. And I want you to be able to have the conversations and work to create a wholeness within yourself. Because daddies are the first point of engagement. I mean, I talk to Sean all the time with his princess daughter. I love the relationship that they have. Their daddies are the first ones to tell you that you're special, that you're beautiful, that you can do anything. My dad used to say I was his little superstar, and I would remember I was, what, 2 or 3, and I would he'd say, pose for me, and I'd put on my shades and sit there and call myself posing because my daddy asked me to, and I just felt beautiful. And so for women who have missed that, I believe it shapes the tone for a lot of the decisions that we make in our lives. And I wanted to give you that resource. I also want to let you all know that I will be hosting. Isn't that so nice that someone contacted me to be a host of an event? I think that that's really special. So you all have seen them here. We did a live fashion show with Elite Couture Boutique. And so they're going to have the second annual Women's Entrepreneurial Reception entitled Yes You Can. That's going to be on Wednesday, March the 21st from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I, as an entrepreneur as well, was asked to be the VIP host, and that is what I'm going to do. And so the keynote speakers are Gail Perry Mason, financial expert and best-selling author, Girl, Make Your Money Grow. And, of course, moderated by Collette Ramsey, on-air personality, WHPR TV 33. Isn't that nice? So that's going to be at 66 East Forest Avenue in Detroit. You can get information. The event is on Eventbrite? Yes, it is. And the telephone number 313-818-0101. And so this information is on my email, on my Facebook and Instagram as well. So I want to make sure that you have that. And then the last point I want to make, because this is important to me, part of, you all know that I had been challenged with churches. I didn't go to church. I haven't been in a church as a fellowship experience in over 2 years. And so I told you my challenge was, for me and my spirit, I needed to see external works for me that would engage me into the act of going in of a building and fellowshipping with those who supposedly believe the same thing through their actions. And so I was able to find that through New Destiny Christian Fellowship, and that was Reverend Horace Sheffield. And so, it started off with me going for the gleaners, or the food banks giveaways, the customer assistance days, reaching some 500 people, just everything of being part of a space where you're actively making a difference for the communities in which we live. And so that touched me. And so I am proud to say that I'm a member of New Destiny Christian Fellowship. And so we're having the church anniversary banquet. That is Saturday, March the 16th, beginning at 6 p.m. And it's going to be at the building. So I should let you know something, that you house a building that does everything for the community, and you still have your church services too. You didn't go and build some big old mega church somewhere, some big cathedral space somewhere. That in the building in which you serve the community every day, you are now still also having church services, and there will be the church anniversary banquet, and that's on Saturday, March 17th. That is on my social media as well. Tickets are $30 for that. There is a cost. It's going to be an amazing experience. Thank you. And so Prophetess Shamika Morley, pastor and speaker, Anointed Terrain Ministries in the Nassau, Bahamas, she will be the speaker for that evening. So those are my items. Normally I don't have, isn't that nice? I'm growing up to be able to have some items to be able to go with you before we get into the subject matter. So everyone, there you have it, okay? 2018 State of the Miseducation of the Negro. I have a clip. I'm going to go to the clip, and all the lines are lit. I see you. I'm going to get to everyone this morning. The first clip is only about 5 minutes, so I want you to indulge me in that. But I want to open with a quote from our own Dr. Carter G. Woodson that states, "When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will protest until one is made for his use. His education demands it." I need that to resonate with you. I'm going to say that one more again. Listen, now I want you to listen to this, not just hear it. Listen. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will protest until one is made for his use. His education demands it. And so we are in the throes of education. We had a couple weeks ago our State of the City address right here for the city of Detroit, and talking about getting our young people to stay. And I thought it was very interesting, this college promise. And that's great when you are of college age, if those of you who have mastered those skill sets to then go on to college. But then we had a report in Michigan that we can't get past the third grade in our reading. And so what kinds of conversations are we having? So if you're really controlling the thinking, then you're not going to start off by promising a college education, and you're going to diversify the offerings, because not everyone's going to go to college, but even more so, you're going to understand the true essence of what is educational. And maybe our bigger problem is that we expect, again, this society, this governance that created the only space that we were validated in was slavery, to then think it was going to properly educate us to seamlessly maneuver into this society we call America, which was never the hope and issue for people of color. So for shame on us, and then we get mad, and so we have our students staging national student walkout days to get some attentions about fair and just spaces so they can feel safe to be educated. And then you only then question, are they really being educated? Are they just giving information, and then the best way they regurgitate it back, then that determines a grade, and then you're supposed to be best equipped. But you know that all that does is put you on a cycle to then be able to go to the next space of employment, to be able to do what you're told and then get a wage for it. So you're not thinking. There's no thinking. You hear and you activate. It's action. You hear and you do. You're trained. It's not thinking, it's trained. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go to this quick clip. Callers, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get everyone. The lines are lit. And we're going to put this all together, because we're consistently dealing with chaos. From the leadership perspective, we're dealing with chaos. From our local community, we can't even get to the real issues of education. But maybe the truth is we're not supposed to. And maybe that's where the prison pipeline comes in. So we're going to talk about it this morning. But let's check out this clip from The View. I want to know what you think.
It's not on top of stuff.
Yep.
Look, just take a look.
Have the public schools in Michigan gotten better?
I don't know overall. I can't say overall that they have all gotten better.
Have you seen the really bad schools? Maybe try to figure out what they're doing?
I have not intentionally visited schools that are underperforming.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. Yes.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Wow.
So, call me crazy, but what's she been doing this whole time?
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, the scary thing is she was in her home state of Michigan.
Yeah. Yes.
And hasn't visited her own state's schools. And what is so upsetting to me is that education was the great equalizer for me. I've often said I was the kid from the South Bronx, but I was smart. And I was in the books, and my parents did everything to make sure I went to good schools. And it's the only reason I'm sitting here today and not a statistic. And so when you think about the head of the education department responsible for really our children's lives, not being qualified to lead those lives and to lead the education, it hurts me to my core, because kids like me don't have a chance with Betsy DeVos as the person taking care of their education.
But Sonny, you're lucky.
No chance.
You're lucky because you had parents that
Yes.
took the time to
And my
get
mom's
involved.
a teacher.
Well, and one of the
That's
problems
saving
here is
grace.
when you look at taking money from public schools and putting it into charter schools or private schools, there is a group of children that barely gets to school with breakfast in them.
Yes.
You know, you can't assume that every parent is going to be able to research these places. That's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of legwork. So ultimately, who this is going to hurt is the most underprivileged young people that are already struggling.
Of course.
But wait, one more thing real quickly. The other thing is, after the confirmation hearings and how much struggle she had getting in and people saying you weren't prepared, that part, you forgive her once, but you don't forgive her twice.
No.
The idea that she did not research a lot of this before sitting down with Leslie Stahl.
Yes.
You'd
Yeah.
I'd at least have a cheat sheet.
Does
with
she
some
not
stats on it.
care?
Well,
Does she
Trump-
not
Well,
care?
remember, Trump had remember he had a cheat sheet that said, I hear you. She should have had some little cheat sheet
Just
like
some
that.
numbers or something. Yeah.
This is what I want to say. I had brunch yesterday with a good friend of mine who actually works in conservative education policy. And there are great people that are working hard to try and explain why I am in agreement school vouchers actually have a lot of positivity. And I want to say the U.S. spends over $620 billion on K-12 education, but our students are behind every other advanced industrial nations when it comes to test scoring. The most recent program for international student assessment placed the U.S. at an unimpressive 38 out of 71 countries in math and science. So there are arguments and conversations to be had about school choice and mechanisms for improving schools, including public schools. This woman, unfortunately, right now, for whatever reason, again, we should just put my friend Inez in front of Leslie Stahl, because there are arguments to be had. We are not doing well in education. My good friend works in conservative education policy, who I had brunch with yesterday morning. And I think that there are ways where we can have better spokespeople explaining our ideology, and it is endlessly frustrating to see someone who's in charge of this go on TV in front of Leslie Stahl and basically say, I don't know anything about my home state.
Because she doesn't know.
But I don't know if she doesn't know or she choked, and I don't know the answer to that.
She doesn't know.
So interesting in what you said in terms of ideology. I thought nobody wanted ideology taught in schools.
Policy. And how you view education, how you view government spending on education. I just said.
Isn't it a fact
No, I understand. But I'm glad you cleared that up, because that's not what I heard. So I'm glad, because I heard you say ideology and I missed the other part.
My understanding is that when you do a charter school, though, you do take some money away from the public schools.
But
Am I right?
you do.
That seems to be the problem. She didn't address that at all.
The Milwaukee voucher program dropped felony convictions from 79% versus a matched public school, and drug crime convictions were down 93%. And again, this is a difference in your perspective on how you want money spent on government. It is a valid argument to be had. It's a valid debate to be had. But when we have someone like her on,
it may be, but the real issue here is the woman in charge.
Is the woman responsible for it? And if you think about it, when you think about the people that President Obama put in, I mean, he has Arnie Duncan, who had just a plethora of experience. He was the CEO of the Chicago Public Schools. He actually was a public school superintendent. And then John King, the other person that he had in the job, had a doctorate in education, a law degree, was a principal of a charter school. These are people with education.
I think maybe she's not. You do agree she's not qualified, right?
Yeah.
She does a lot of work in charter. This wouldn't be my choice for this job. And I think if you cannot go in front of media and explain in sound bites your policy, the ideology in this,
what you want to see.
Then
you know what? Maybe she doesn't have to, because she knows she's backed by Trump and she has a lot of money. So she's like, whatever.
But right now, it is affecting, because right now we're having a conversation where we're talking about how she biffed it in front of a national Leslie Stahl of all people, when again, people like me, people like my friend Inez, have a wildly different take on government spending when it comes to public schools, and we're resulted with this, and it's deeply frustrating.
Who cares what she does on television? It's about what she's doing in the job.
Halt, we're coming right back.
And so we're back. And so I wanted to know, did you all see the 60-minute segment? If you didn't, I can direct you to it. Well, you just can Google it. And it was just a travesty. And I really wanted to focus on the part specific to Michigan, right? That's where we are based. And again, maybe because our education secretary doesn't understand the dynamics that are happening in Michigan, why our test scores, we still can't get past the 3rd grade, and we're in the situation that we're in. And so then we have the conversation about the business of education. And so why then do we have an expectation that they're still going to get it right? Remember, we've been under emergency management with our school system for how many EMs have been in Detroit specific, and they still can't get it right. However, they keep creating a new cycle to identify new funding, to give new contracts, to create a new ideology, but the ideas, as they stated, but the bottom line still is that it has no impact on the children. It is the business of education. The business of education. But I'm going to keep giving it a platform because we know that it's important. So I'm going to keep talking about education because I know you're paying attention to education, and you're going to believe that I'm going to create something, that government is going to create something that's going to make it right for you, when all I'm trying to do is what? Create another revenue stream. And so when you had some, and I do have a clip, and I don't know if we'll have to go to it today, but I do have a clip where they had some Senate hearings with Mrs. DeVos, and so they came out and asked her, well, how much money has your family given to Trump? Do you think that has some impact on you being selected or elected? And she couldn't give agreements to the actual figure, but she said she figured it was probably accurate, or that it was a lot. And at the end of the day, does that show us that it's not about what you know, but it's who you know? And so I think everything in this president's realm is about relationships, period. Now, not that they're good or bad, because we clearly see that we have never had this type of chaos in a governmental body in the history of the presidential process, period. Everyone, they come, they go. It's a revolving door. You don't even know who's in position yet. And then I don't even know what the actual policies that have actually been signed into. But that's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about education in this state right now. Chaos right now. So they had a fight, well, a banter, an issue the other night at the school board meeting in Detroit. You guys, when are we going to be able to get to the true education? But maybe the truth of it, the matter is, again, we're not supposed to be equipped. So then we'll jump into the prison pipeline. So then I can educate you there. How's that? And then because the tune, it's easier for me to justify putting monies into private prisons and doing stock options where I might have to spend like, what, $54,000 a year for you versus $7,000. I can get more money that way. Are you all thinking about that? I'm going to go to the lines and see what you have to think. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
How you doing today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
All right.
Wonderful.
First, I got to give a shout out to TV 33.
Yes.
Comcast 91.
Yes.
WHPR. Highland Park, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Great outfit.
Thank you. I'm being.
We'll give another shout out to all the other TV show hosts. First, R.J. Watkins.
Right.
Get well, Mr. Tyler.
Yes.
Ms. Perryman.
Sure.
Miss LaWanda.
Yeah.
Billy Jones.
Yes.
Money Making Diva.
Yes.
Hair Doctor. And all the other great TV show hosts from
Yes.
TV 33.
Thank
Thank you for bringing up the conversation of miseducation of the black person in the United States.
Negro.
Oh. He's a Negro.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. That's the title.
That's
That's the title of
legal,
the book.
That is the legal term.
Yeah,
You
that's
are
the
correct
title of
about
the book.
that.
That's the title of the book, The Miseducation of the
What's the
Negro by
title of
Carter
the
G.
book?
Woodson. Sure.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No problem.
Well, the point is this.
Sure.
Before 1974, there were no school strikes here in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
There was really no school strikes at all. But when there became an empowerment, that the educational system, it was right behind busing. When forced busing became part of public education, that's when education became about money, became about vendors. So it wasn't about educating the per se child from going from a negative point to a plus point every year. It was about forced mandates to get the kid from the first grade up to 12th grade. Because legally, after the 12th grade, public schools were not obligated to house these children.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when it comes down to parenting, when you rely on the federal government to empower your kid to deal with this world, you get the results that you put in.
Okay.
So when you look at Detroit Public Schools now, ever since the 80s, we've heard about people attending Detroit Public Schools where multiple kids are sharing the same book.
Yes.
No toilet paper. The facilities is not the basic facilities that the average household in the city of Detroit.
Sure.
But we sent our kids here. Now,
Sure.
the people who were able to afford to send their kids to a parochial or Catholic school,
Yes.
okay, there was never an uproar. You still pay taxes for public schools, but you took money out your pocket to do what? To empower your child on another level.
Sure.
Never heard an outcry. We just heard our mayor talk about his family was doing that in the 1920s. So I don't understand why people want to confuse charter schools and not see what this country was doing years ago when it came out to Catholic schools and or the basis of public education.
Okay.
Now,
Well, let me ask this, and let's just say this. Maybe the issue, and this is my opinion, that education is always, everything in America is a business, period. That is the basis of how America was created, to create money, to have revenue streams. So education has always been a business. Once it became engaged with people on a local level, then that's when we became interested and a part of it. But it's always been about revenue. Period, first of all. And once you started delineating from, if you're not going to have a strong public education, then I'm going to create other options for people to go and specialize their children if I feel that they're getting better needs over here, whatever their needs met, or better educational practices, not a problem. And so it's a breakdown between the charter schools. And I know a lot of the conversations, Collette, well, but then it takes away from the enrollment in public schools. Well, I think we're having two separate conversations. So you're having a conversation of what is the best way to educate your child versus the resources that you feel are going to be available in that system. So people believe that if we drop the numbers of students in the public school system, then we won't have the monies to be able to support the educational process. But if you really pay attention, those monies don't go towards the education of the student. That curriculum is already established. That's already handed down. The monies aren't going for books. Those are going for salaries. It's going for buildings. It's not going for the actual programmatic pieces that the children have to engage with every day. You know that, right? I mean, we just had a school on the news right now that was talking about the dilapidation in the school and should they close it down now. Those monies aren't going towards the structures of the school. So when you have a mayor that's talking about we want to save the children, we want to keep them staying here by taking the money and getting the structure of the buildings together. Make sure there's no asbestos. Make sure that the water is right in the schools. Make sure that it's just functioning from a building perspective, from an operational perspective. Can we do that first? But everyone wants to miss that part of it. Right? So people they're like, they think it's just about the book. And it's not about the book. We haven't even gotten to the curriculum. If you look at the issues right now, you have those key schools, those gifted schools. You all know who they are. I don't have to say the names of them. Where you are clear, the perception is the students are going to get the right type of education. But no one ever talks about the curriculum in the school. We talk about the faltering of the schools. Curriculum becomes the issue when the test scores are bad, or when you get a report that says, "Oh, they can't read past the 3rd grade." We don't have conversations about curriculum, everyone. We can't get there because the schools are still raggedy, and then you wonder where the monies are going to go. So I appreciate your call. I'm going to get everybody in on today. You gave us something to think about. So if you all agree that the positioning is that, hey, you should have the option with public schools, charter schools. I say make sure that the children are educated by any means necessary. But maybe we don't know what true education is. Hey, Mal, I appreciate you. Have an amazing day.
Have an amazing day, dear.
Thank you so much. So, everyone, that's what it is. Maybe we just don't know what education is. Maybe I need to look that up in the dictionary. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, when you come to education, education is tied to ethnic cleansing in this country.
Okay.
Negro removal, not just in Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, Birmingham, Alabama, all over the country. You got schools that's in crises, so-called crises, of only black schools.
Yes.
When you come to education.
Yes.
And when I look back and studied the education as far as the degree of education, those who are 25 and older, from 70, I got a department from the Department of Commerce.
Yes.
American black population, 1970 to 1982.
Yes.
Statistical view. Now, from there, it showed that we were progressing over them. Over the whites, we was progressing in the black schools, and was graduate more people, more went to college, was getting degrees. But all of a sudden, when they found out that the suburbs couldn't pay for the rotten infrastructure in the 90s, then they came to the black schools and talked about experiment in charter schools and how bad schools was. But when you got educators with 315 teachers that don't study after they get theirs and told the kids at that time, I got mine and you got yours to go, then they run to a bar, like a friend of mine used to have. Those people wasn't good stewards. Because what happened? The intelligentsia of all races, all history, written history, always gravitate to those who are in power economically. So the blacks was no different in Detroit. They allowed for the state to separate black education from the white education, which we fought for, not to sit with white kids and all that stuff.
Yes.
We fought so if you pass a law on us, you're going to pass it on the whites.
Yes.
But you had the black intelligentsia in the school system. They allowed for a chipping away.
Yes.
Governor England came in and talked about a charter, faith-based education of schools.
Sure.
Reverend Holly and all them going to help kids. They help chip away at our school system.
Okay.
Then, but I can tell you another time.
Sure.
Then they messed around there, and the first one who took the schools from the public was New Detroit.
Okay.
With Helen Moore.
Okay.
Mother of Education was with New Detroit. They took this over the school system.
Okay.
And then when they took over the school system, little by little, they chipped away, and the teachers went along with it.
Okay.
And when they went along with it, because of their class nature, with all intelligentsia, they're the one who gravitate to the rich in slavery. They managed the slave society, not the slave owners.
Sure.
In feudalism,
yes.
It was the educated who managed the fields, the land for the landlord, the kings and stuff.
Yes.
Under capitalism,
yes.
It is the educated
yes.
who manage society. Look at Congress.
Yes.
Look at so what happened? The school system in Detroit is no different from the failing school system in Washington, D.C.,
sure.
New Orleans, Harlem, because this is a national plan,
yes.
and the national plan is to put us out of the cities. If you look at the population decline in all major cities where we at,
sure.
and when they first did it, Collette, they did it with the school system.
Yeah.
That's how they start moving out. And when that school got mold over there, they're moving those parents out of Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they should be repairing it, the section that's got it.
Yes.
Let the other section, they got it, the kids be in there. But they don't, that's why the parents are mad. They don't know why they're mad. They know they don't want their kids wholesale and moved out of what is Palmer Park School Academy.
Yes.
And that other school, they said.
Yes.
So what I see, Collette, is I see that the school, look at the population,
yes.
as the schools close, go back to about when they took over, 1999.
Okay.
The state took over. Look at the population, look at the school closing, and then you look at the population during that time.
Yes.
You will see they correlate.
Yes.
So it ain't about no education at all.
Right.
So
right.
that's what I'm saying. It's not about education.
Right.
And if we don't, in the last thing on there,
sure.
I would say that the kids that's marching,
mm-hmm.
we know that the Rifle Association came out. I hear people talking about the Second Amendment,
okay.
but I don't hear them talking about the article of the first in the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution. Look at Article 1 about legislation, and then look at Section 8.
Okay.
The militia is, they train them? Yes. What are they for? When you read Section 8, they are armed. They're going to be armed. They're not going to give up that arm, and they're supposed to be regulated by Congress.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be able to be called on to stop insurrection.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're not going to, however many kids going to get shot down. That's a constitutional question. They got to be changed in the Constitution. 2/3 of the both houses and 2/3 of the states are the 2/3 of the Congress that have to ratify.
Sure.
So that ain't gonna happen. The kids can get that there and roll and unless.
Sure.
Now unless, and here's the bad part. What has happened to us? The black intelligentsia have played the role of colonial dictators in our communities across this country.
Sure.
And they have now crippled the ones, we are the people, through our experiencing in this country.
Okay.
We always, when we started, whites followed us, the white masses.
Sure.
We was the ones that was supposed to stop Trump from having wars in space. But now we have been reduced to paupers and desperados in every city by the black intelligentsia, not no Klansmen and the black fathers. But that I'm gonna stop. You know, I talk too much, and the reason I do that, Collette, because I used to ask people to talk show host to dialogue with me.
Yes.
But some I'm afraid, like Reverend Holly, they're afraid.
Okay.
And so because they know I'm going to use figures in real life and go to reduce them, and they don't want to be reduced because they paid some crumbs to misguide us.
Okay. Well, I always appreciate what you bring to the conversation.
And if you got anything to say, I'm going to stop talking and pause sometime with you because you really got a good show going.
Sure. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you on this show. And you can call, and I love your facts, and I love your figures, and we learn from it. And I agree with you. And now, Brother Tyrone, on this one, I agree everything that you stated. Yes, we've talked before and have an amazing day. I'm going to make sure I get everybody else in. But this is all about class. We've talked about this before. Color is the bait and switch. It's about class. The black intelligentsia, the talented 10th, that's about class. It's a separation from those who can, those who can't, socioeconomic components. It's not about color. But that is what the initial position is that causes dissension among the masses, is that it's about color. But when you're poor and black, it looks the same as when you're poor and white. It looks the same as if poor and yellow, poor Mexican, whatever it looks like, poor is poor. So go into each one of those communities, the education system is going to be to boot, housing is going to be horrible, city services are going to be horrible. It's all the same because poor is poor. And to everyone's point, we still haven't gotten to what education is. We haven't gotten to how we should be educated. But the truth is, no one wants us to be educated because then we can't not be controlled. What was the quote I just said to you? It's about being able to control you. If I tell you what to think the way I want you to think it, you won't think anything other than what I tell you. And the truth is you're not even thinking. You're just regurgitating the information that I'm giving you. And you'll go right into your space. You'll find that comfort spot for you in this society, and you'll stay there. You'll never move beyond it. You won't go anywhere else. You'll stay. You'll find that spot, and you'll even fight for the spot, as Carter G. Woodson said. Let me go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, wow, we were everywhere this morning. Awesome show, awesome call.
Thank you.
First, let me just hit this with the Constitution.
Okay.
Keep in mind, the Constitution was written by a group of people who was running from somebody.
Nice. Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let me just put that out there. That should change your perspective and how to really view that document. It wasn't written by us. Right. It was written by some people who was running from somebody.
And wait, can I add, and stay there, and can I add, it wasn't written by us, and it wasn't written for us. But
exactly.
Please.
They written that document because when they were going, when those particular Puritans who wrote the document of the Constitution was the Puritans, they were escaping prosecution from the King of England.
Well, let me just say this. Wait, let me add to it. My perception is they were kicked out of England. They were the crooks and the thieves and the murderers and everyone that they didn't want in their society. So in order to purify our society, we're going to put you out and you're going to go someplace else. So that's what happened. Yeah. They didn't have a choice to try to make it work. They got shipped away. Okay.
And many were facing some felony charges.
Sure.
You know, that was the worst of the worst. So when they got here and they murdered our native brothers and sisters who were black people at that time also, they got smart and said, well, if that man over there ever comes after us, we need to have something in place. Yeah. So let's draft a document to show that we together. Yeah. You know, we all together in this thing, and we're gonna form us a militia.
Right.
You know, because we're going to need some protection if he try to take us back or kill us or make us pay for our indecency. So the reason why I said that to say this. Sure. Freedom was ours in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why the educational school system did what it did, because those people who ran it said, you mean they're really going to let us do it? Okay.
Sure.
That's how I went.
Well, but stay there. Stay there because you're 6'4", stay there for a minute because you're triggering certain thoughts in me and I want to get them out. But did you all get what he said? Is that if all we did was replicate their model, then how is it going to be any different from us, for us? And I'm not saying that we didn't need our own schools. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying that we didn't need to create structures that focus on us. But even the historical HBCUs were established with funding with people that didn't look like us. So you don't think that they then had an impact on how we were educated. And then so many of us have these conversations about, well, why haven't they taught us about what our history is beyond these Americas? They can't, because your curriculum to be a teacher in the classroom is not about beyond Americas. It's these Americas right here. It's the book that I'm going to give you. It's the core of study that I'm going to give you. You're going to give that information back to me. Then I'm going to tell you that you're worthy to be in a classroom. And then you're going to have these lesson plans. And then you're going to have these core of things that you have to complete in the classroom, because then you're told what to teach yet again. And then if the students don't follow that, or if you don't get that right, then the grades are going to be reflective of it. So I'm sorry, where does true education come in? If you don't take it upon yourself in your households, to the young people that you meet right now, to give them the real information. I'm not saying not master what's in the book that they give you. Fine, do that. Use that as an intellectual exercise. But then you have to know that there's more than that. So please continue your thought.
Oh, yes, it's definitely more than that. But because you allowed them to do the job for you, you didn't see that there was more.
Sure.
And other people are exercising more than that, and it doesn't look familiar to you because you still stuck on what they said more than that looks like.
Sure.
It's 2018, and we're still having that same conversation about what they're doing educational-wise to our children.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not, but there's no conversation about what are you doing to counter that. You know, there's no phonics in school. I remember Jackie Taylor, who was on this very station, had a book called Superphonics for Superstar Readers.
Okay.
You know, you can't read without the basics of phonics. You got to know how to pronounce the sounds.
Right.
Or how else are you going to know what to say? You know, how else are you going to know what are you looking at?
Yes.
So only thing I can say is they caught a generation and they caught a group of people who are sleeping and just are not going to wake up.
Right.
And what they have for them is efficient enough because they never dug into anything deeper than what was put before them. Mm. They believe they went with Jim and they drunk the Kool-Aid per se. And I think it's 2018, you know, why are we still drinking the Kool-Aid? And having children drink the Kool-Aid?
Well, stay there.
Still ain't strong enough. Okay.
Stay there. Well, you know why? Because it goes back to what we opened up with our quote. And you hit it on the head. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions.
But we don't let people control our thinking in other areas.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, really, I tell people, I mean, look at the things that you be adamant about not letting a lot happen to you, and then look at the things you do allow to happen to you.
Well, but when you really start looking at, quote unquote, what we fight for, allegedly for ourselves, there's no real outcomes on that either. So, like, what is it that, the truth is, when you really just start thinking about it as a whole, if you just talk about black folk, what is it that we're really fighting for? What do we fight for? What is it that we actually put our energies into that says, okay, this is an atrocity against me, I'm going to have a different result, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to put that action associated with that ambition. What is it that we fight for, really? We sit and talk about our jobs being bad, and we complain about the boss, and we complain, but we go there every day. We complain about not getting the promotions and what's going on, but we don't take the steps to either go to school, to get the other paper, to go through the process. We refuse to be a part of this process of America in which we know what we have to do to make the system work for us. It is an unjust system. Make it work for you. But we consistently complain, and we just complain and complain. And we don't want to put in the work because we were never taught that that's what we should do. And that's the truth of it. We don't like it, but we weren't taught. And if the white person told us, you better get out there and make sure you go to school so you can come and do this, we'll do that. We'll do that. But for us to say on our own, oh no, you better get out here because I need to amass this amount, and in order to do that in this cycle, this is what I have to do, and so I'm going to go ahead and do it. We won't do that.
Oh no, we won't.
We won't do that. So whose fault is it? Six, I got one other call I want to get before we close out for today. Our time is almost up. I got about 3 minutes. So I appreciated you triggered certain things, and it was right on point again with when you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions.
Hey, thank you. And I think the only one of us who's miseducated about the Negro today may be the Negro, him or herself.
Right. Absolutely. Appreciate your call. You're the last caller for today. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you. Caller, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Collette?
Amazing. How are you?
Okay, here, I'm going to sum things up for you, Collette.
Okay.
I'll call this to you again.
Yes.
This is the native Indian place.
Okay.
They keep talking about America. This is stolen by their separatism, hatred, killing,
yes,
power, money, and sex. Now they got same-sex marriages, sex changes. Look at the movie industry.
Yeah.
Look at the TV industry.
Yes.
And you talk about the education. The education is the same as telling you that they enslave you by thinking their ways. We have not come to the civil rights of thyself, Mother Africa, Father Africa of the earth. Yeah. Also, they still calling themselves Negroes, Negrite.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, how are you to think about civil rights when you have not civil and pointed yourself to thyself? Yet and still, you're a saltine cracker with a trick, thinking like them instead of thinking about thyself. I live on Audubon in Southampton. You can come in here and find all kind of information about thyself.
Yeah.
I love you, Collette, and take care of yourself. Put that in your head about who and how we think. That's the education is about them, not about us. And poverty is a spearhead. As long as they can keep you in poverty, they got you.
Yes, yes. He hit it on the head. I love you back. I love you. He right. He said he summed it up for us, and he did. Did you all get what he said? As long as we can stay in poverty. See, what do we talk about on the show? The symptoms versus the issues. You got to pull away the layers to get what the truths are. The truths are when we stay in poverty, everything around us is not going to be in a position to empower us. And so how do you expect education to work for us? How do you expect housing to work for us? How do you even expect government to work for us? The truth is, when you have that mindset, and the truth, poverty is even a mindset. It doesn't have to be your physical conditions, and I don't mean that it has to be easy. I get it. I get it. We have a customer assistance day tomorrow with DTE, and there's 500 people that are going to receive assistance. The costs are daunting. Households of 6 and 7 people that don't make more than $2,000 a month. And I get it, but that doesn't mean that that's where you have to be. That's a mindset of saying, okay, if in this system, based on the decisions that I've made, based on where I'm at, then these are the outcomes. Oh, we're going to go somewhere with this. But I'm still contending that in 2018, we are still miseducated, and it is for a purpose. It is a purpose, and it doesn't benefit us. Everyone, our time is up. I appreciate you all so much, and I just let you know that I will not be here tomorrow. I have to go and be of service to the community. So we're going to have some other great information for you tomorrow during our segment. I just wanted you all to know that. And so I didn't want you to look for me and worry about where I am because you all are so kind and you reach out to me. So thank you so much. But I will be back next week, okay? And can think about what we talk about. Realize that it's who you are, self. To that own self be true, but we can't get to those truths when we don't even know ourselves. It's been an amazing time today. I appreciate you. Make today phenomenal. Live in your moments. Know that I support you in all things. Until next time, see you then.